When things get complicated, we turn to Karl Rove to help us understand what is going on in this race. Karl, great to have you with us. Let me just start with, it looks like the cumulative weight of these scandals has got to bury Hillary Clinton. Am I utterly wrong?
Well, they can if they're well prosecuted. And one of the best things that have happened to the Trump campaign in the last week is that he's turned his focus from picking unnecessary battles with the press or fellow Republicans and focused it clearly on Hillary Clinton. And he's been held by some revelations that have appeared in the mainstream press about the Clinton Foundation. I mean, this is unbelievable that she went before the Congress as a nominee for the Secretary of State, promised to be sensitive to the conflicts that the Clinton Foundation brought into her life, and obviously turned around and ignored it. I mean, her husband and her agents were out there grabbing for lots of money from foreign individuals and foreign countries, and even U.S. citizens. I don't, you know, this answer that, oh, we're going to stop asking if she gets elected president, we're not going to ask foreign individuals or foreign corporations to give us money. Well, what about Americans? I mean, it just smells. It looks like influence peddling, and it just stinks. And so to begin to focus on that and to be aided in it by some revelations in the press gave Trump a couple of good days. I hope he keeps it up.
And the scapegoating, Clinton's scapegoating of Colin Powell, knowing full well that, I'm sorry?
Jaw-dropping.
Yeah, and to do so knowing what she was saying was utterly false, knowing that there was no discussion for a year after she had already been doing what she was doing with a private server.
Yeah, think about the story that she told. She supposedly is having a dinner with Madeleine Albright, Henry Kissinger, Colin Powell, and Condoleezza Rice. And at this private dinner, she says, give me your one piece, the best piece of advice you have. And the best piece of advice that Colin Powell gives her is use a private email account like I did. That just doesn't pass the smell test on the surface of it. And you'll note there's not a single other former Secretary of State who says, oh, yeah, when we were having dinner, that's what Colin Powell told you was his best bit of advice. It just I know Colin Powell. I worked with him for 4 years. I cannot imagine under any circumstances that if he were ever asked that question that would be his answer. And of course, as you say, it turns out he gave her a memo almost a year later after she started using the server that said, I used a private email account, not a private server, but an AOL account. And look, between the time he left being Secretary of State and the time that she came in, the rules and security were upgraded because there was increased threat of cyber, and it was, you're never supposed to use a private account, and she ignored that advice.
Yeah, and by the way, we should point out Secretary Powell was using his AOL account, but he was using it on a State Department server, and that's quite a different situation altogether. You feel better about these polls for Trump?
Well, let's be a little bit careful. You know, in politics, people tend to think things are worse than they are and better than they are. Think about this. At the end of July, excuse me, at the beginning of July, these candidates she was essentially 2.4% below where she is today, and he was 1.7% below where he was today. That is to say, she has gained since the beginning of July 0.7% in the Real Clear Politics average. So let's be a little bit careful about being too ecstatic about a new good poll or being too depressed about a bad poll.
Well, that's why I asked you to get a little guidance, a little context, a little perspective. Thanks so much, Karl.
There we go.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Karl Rove.
You bet.